Now we have a pot on the stove, and our stove is heated to a medium heat. We're going to start by pouring 1 cup of regular granulated sugar into the pot. And now this is going to take a little bit of time to cook down. You're going to get out a trusty old wooden spoon or a heat-proof stirring utensil, and you're just going to stir it around. You'll see right now that nothing is melted, but after a few minutes you'll start to see it melt down and liquefy. So just be patient and keep stirring it around the pot. So now you can see that there's a little bit of clear liquid, which is just the sugar starting to melt down. So that took about 3 minutes to get to this point. And we're just going to keep stirring, and you can let it sit a little bit. You don't have to constantly be moving it, but it's going to start to get really chunky, and that's okay. It's supposed to be like that, so don't get scared. Just be patient and keep an eye on your pot. So now we're really starting to see it, I always use the word chunk, but chunk up, and that's good. So we'll let it keep cooking down, and pretty soon it's going to start browning slightly. So you can see it's really starting to melt down now. You can see the liquid at the bottom. It kind of almost looks like Dippin' Dots. Like wet Dippin' Dots, but that's good. So we want to keep stirring, but we also want this to continue to cook down because we need it to be an amber liquid when it's finished. So right now it's starting to turn a little bit yellow, which is great. We want to keep that going. It's kind of a golden color at this point. So what I also like to do, I don't know if this is actual caramel making protocol, but just to get those big bits to go, I like to hold it kind of like this because I think it immerses all of the chunks in the hot melted sugar, and I think it helps it dissolve more quickly. So you can see it's now turning a darker color. It's like almost a light brown, and that's what we're after. So, and as you can see from letting it sit here, those big chunks of sugar are finally dissolving. So caramel making definitely takes a little bit of time and patience, but it's really not anything too complicated. So once we get all of these final chunks of sugar broken down, we're going to add in our butter, our heavy cream, and a little bit of salt. So that's the color we're after. We're going to turn off the heat, and next we're going to slowly add in the butter. So you're going to be adding in 3 tablespoons, and as you add it you can see it bubbles up, which is why you want to add it very gradually. And you also want to always make sure that you have a lot of room in your pot because it will bubble up, especially when you add the cream, and you don't want that to bubble up on your stove or worse, on you. So next up we're going to add a 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And the amount of cream that you add really determines the viscosity of the caramel. So if you were to be making caramels to eat that you'd want to firm up and that you could wrap, you would add a lot less cream. And if you wanted it to be more of a really thin sauce, like for ice cream or something, you might add a little bit of extra cream to make it thinner. You can see now it's like all mixed together, and we're going to add in just a dash of salt. So I like to measure it in my hand, just like that. Toss it in, stir it together, and there you have it, homemade caramel sauce. So I like to put this in the fridge and let it thicken up, and then I put it in a squirt bottle to help me drizzle it over cakes more easily. But you can put it in a mason jar, in Tupperware, and it keeps for a couple weeks in your fridge. So you can definitely hang on to leftovers and use them on whatever you want. So there you have it, homemade caramel without a candy thermometer.